Okay. Hi everyone. I think we are live. Let me check that once. Yes. Can you guys let us know that are we clearly audible and visible in the comments below? Okay. Perfect. Okay. Right. Let's start the session then. Great. So, hi everyone. Again, we welcome Karam here today to introduce about this amazing topic that we have. And let me start with a brief introduction about him and about the session, and then Karan can start with that. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this exciting event on unleashing the power of GitHub Copilot. I'm Harshad Singh, and it's my pleasure to be your host for this exciting event. Today, we are gathered to celebrate the convergence of creativity, coding excellence, and cutting edge innovation powered by GitHub Copilot and Agentic AI. This session brings together developers, creators, AI enthusiasts, eager to explore the limitless potential of GitHub Copilot in building intelligent and agent driven applications. Through collaboration and hands on experience, we aim to unlock new ways to enhance productivity, streamline development, and push the boundaries of what AI powered coding assistant can achieve. This session is designed to inspire innovation, foster learning, and empower you to harness the power of agentic AI with GitHub Copilot to build the next generation of smart application. Now, let me introduce you to the speaker. So, the speaker is Karan. I'll tell you about him. Karan leads an international developers relation at GitHub, helping developers harness the power of AI and open source through GitHub tools. He helps support developers learning, grow open source communities, and streamline workflow for developers. As one of the GitHub's early hires in India, Karan has played a key role in strengthening the country's developers ecosystem. And today, he's here to talk about this topic, GitHub Copilot, and tell us about how it is very useful to us and how you can utilize that in your own workflow. So, Karan, I'd like you to take the stage from now and let our audience know about the amazing power of GitHub Copilot.
Thank you. Thank you. Hope I'm audible and all good. So thanks everyone for joining in live or for watching this video later on. I'm Karan, and I'm a part of the developer relations team here at GitHub, and my team and I work very closely with developers, helping them around open source AI and how GitHub Copilot can help, etc. Now I know there's so much that GitHub Copilot can offer you to do in your development life cycle. So I won't be starting completely from the scratch as to what is Copilot or what it can do, etc. Because I've done a video on Geeks for Geeks YouTube itself, specifically around some of the basics of Copilot and what it can do within VS Code or any other IDs, etc. So if you haven't seen that yet, do catch up on that. In this session, I'll be covering a whole lot around agentic AI. All right. And I'll be honest, I don't have any slides because I'll be showing everything and we'll be working live on github.com, on VS Code, on Terminal, etc. And kind of seeing along how a lot of different things work. Now, because I'm going to be doing all of this live, there's of course a chance that some of it can fail, which is how generally all of us as developers work as well, right? We're working on something, some things can fail, etc., but we'll figure it out along the way. Now, many of you who are there, of course, who are there out here and watching this on YouTube, I'm probably assuming you have heard agentic AI or probably used it a little bit, but maybe not used a lot of that on GitHub Copilot, which is what I'll be talking about as well, and showing you how you can work along with it. Now, first things first, what is this all agentic AI about? How is it different from all of the AI that you've been using, either through chat interfaces like ChatGPT, or using it in search engines, or even while you're coding, etc.? Now, when all of the AI started, it was all around generative AI, right? Where you could ask a prompt, and you would get a response from the LLM model around whatever you're asking for. And if you're coding, that means that you're probably writing a comment in VS Code, and GitHub Copilot generates some code for you and gives you, etc. If you remember, all of that experiences, of course, have been very helpful and are very helpful as well. However, those help you generate code. Whereas, what if you want to work on multiple different tasks itself? What if you want to say, I want to write this feature, I want to complete this task, I want to fix this bug? These are all tasks. You're not thinking about what is the code I need to write, but you're thinking about what is the task I need to accomplish and write this code for, right? And that's where a whole lot of agentic AI comes into play, because what the AI acts like is an agent for you. So it is an agent which you can delegate task to. You can say that, write this code for me to accomplish this task. And what it does is it goes and autonomously works across various different parts of how to accomplish this. And what that means is that it plans how to accomplish that task, it goes and then executes by writing code or by calling tools. It goes and then also has its own memory of sorts, because there's multiple conversation, and there is, a whole lot of prompt response generation, etc. And it works very autonomously. Okay, and that's kind of the basic difference, although there is a whole lot more around how agents and agentic AI work. Why is this all very useful? One important thing is that for us as developers, when we are kind of thinking about, okay, I want to write this, instead of thinking about what code do I write, you can think about what is the task I want to accomplish, what is that feature I want to write, what is that bug I want to write, fix. You wouldn't want to write bugs, but fix some of those things. And how do you go about that and delegate those entire tasks to agents? So that is where a whole lot of what you might heard about vibe coding has come into play as well, because essentially with just the prompts that you are giving, you can start building entire apps itself because of the agentic capabilities. Okay, now that's a very brief. So let's jump into a bit of demos and everything else, and see how all of this comes across. So let me start sharing my screen, so you will be able to see a few things around what we are going to work on today. All right. So, okay. So here's my screen. I have github.com, which is open. But before that, can we please bring up the screen as well on the stream? Anyone on the Geeks for Geeks team? Okay, great. Thank you. So I'm guessing you should be able to probably see the screen now, where we have github.com, which is there. And this is my repository. It's an example repository, which is called Gracious Plate. And what it does is it's essentially almost like an app which is meant for food sharing, within the community. All right. So something which is just an example. Now don't go searching for this repository. It is private. That's fine, it doesn't matter, because what I'm showing you is nothing really to do with only this specific repository or only this specific type of code. It's something which you can use with any repository, any of your projects that you have as well. All right. So let's do a few things in and around over here. All right. Now let me first bring up VS Code before that, and this is my VS Code where I have my project that's open, which is the same Gracious Plate. All right. So let's just bring up the dev server first, and run this. So what I'll do is I'll just do an npm run dev, so I can just show you what this project looks like locally, and what we are going to be building along with agentic AI right now. So Okay, so the server is coming up, so I can hopefully open local host, and I should be able to see my app. Okay, so this is the app that we have. So it's there's a home page, and then there is a food a page for kind of finding what all food has been posted, and then one other way where you can post your own leftover food and things like that. All right, so something which is still a bit work in progress itself. Now there is a few things that that we can do with GitHub Copilot and agentic capabilities. All right. Now, first thing, let's go back into the repo, and you can notice right here on the top that there is a Copilot icon, and it says Chat with Copilot. So now let's think about where we want to get started. All right, now one of the things is that, say I want to add a new feature for some moderation of all of these posts and people, etc. So for example, there is a fine food and everything else, but say I want to have some moderation um, tools and UI, etc. So how do I go about that? Now if you think about how you might do this in VS Code, you might say that, okay, I need a new page now, and these are the components that will be there, and this is what I have to kind of build, etc., right? But with Copilot, there's multiple things you can do to easily accomplish this. First of all, let's say that I need to determine my requirements itself, right? As to what should I actually build. I know I want a page for admin, moderation tools, etc., but there is more to it than just that, right? So that's where Copilot can help me actually think through how I might want to do this. So for example, in this web interface of Copilot, you can actually ask Copilot to create an issue itself. So here you can see there is a create a new issue, which if you click on, it will give a drafted prompt saying that create a new draft issue and then ask for additional information to fill out. So what Copilot does right over here, you can see, is it has created this draft issue, all right, which is just a placeholder for me to get started. Now, what I'll ask is I will ask Copilot, and you can see here in my prompt, I'll say that um, the current app doesn't have any UI or tools for admin moderation. I want a new page, especially the UI, where as an admin, one can moderate the posts, users, etc. And then this is my requirement. That's all in one sentence. And then I'll ask Copilot saying that um, create, say, specific um, feature requirements for this on the issue. All right. Now that's all I'm asking. And notice that I can also select whichever model I want, including the latest GPT-5, and choose whatever model I want. And this is one of the things which is really nice about GitHub Copilot is there is a choice about what models you want to use. So right from all the way from OpenAI's GPT models to Anthropic's Claude models, through Google's Gemini models, you can use whatever that you want. So in this case, I'll just stick to GPT-5 and I will give that prompt. So it goes back and then thinks through what needs to be done. And if this was, just working with, an LLM, it will probably just say that, oh, okay, here it is, and whatever, etc. But here, what we have done is you can see it has gone ahead and drafted that issue for me with the requirement. So you can see that here it says that this is the requirement: an admin moderation UI page, post moderation, user moderation, activity log. So with just one small idea that I had, that I want an admin and a UI for moderation, I was able to, in just a few seconds and minute, be able to come up with this requirement based on my idea, I can of course refine it. And right here, I can just say create an issue. And what it does, it goes ahead and creates that issue in my repository that we were looking at. So let's open that issue in the new tab. And here it is. You can see the same issue which was drafted by Copilot, and which of course we could have edited at any time whenever we need it, right? So now, okay, I know that I have this requirement that I have to create a moderation page, etc. Now, if it were you as a developer, what would you have done? Probably you might have said that, okay, right from here I might want to go and then say that, I'll create a new branch. I'll start working on how to go about implementing this and everything else, etc., right? So in this case, what I can do is I can use GitHub Copilot to help me implement this specific thing, as well. So what I can do is right here on the issue, you can see the assign to Copilot button right over here. And when I do that, what it does, it says that I can assign this issue to Copilot and have it work on a pull request in this specific repo and start from the main branch. And I can provide additional instructions as well if I need. For example, I can say that, all right, I want or let's say, keep the admin page on the slash admin row in the app. All right. So what this does is I'm giving it just an additional prompt. And when I assign this issue, Copilot will start working on this in the background on github.com itself. So what I can see over here is that, I this was assigned to Copilot. It gives me this I saying that it has seen it, and here is a draft pull request that it has started working on. So you can see that this is what was the original issue and the prompt, and it says that started work on behalf of me. And I don't have to, but I can always go take a look as to what it is working on, as well. All right. So this is a really nice thing, and this is agentic, because what I'm giving it is not saying that write this function, write this specific thing, write that thing. I am giving it a requirement saying that I want this admin moderation page, go write that for me. All right. And then Copilot goes ahead and then starts working on it in the background while I can continue other things that I'm doing. So let's go back. Let me continue other things that I'm doing, and then think about what I need to do as well. Now, one of the things, outside of admin, say moderation, is that I need, a UI for authentication as well. So that's something which is not there in the app. Moderation and all is fine, admin is fine, but I fundamentally need a way to sign up and log in and things like that as well, right? So that's where, again, I will invoke another agent on behalf of me to work on this with Copilot. Now, it's not just an issue. I don't have to just necessarily always go through the same flow saying that go into Copilot, draft an issue, then assign it, etc. I can do this very easily through the agents panel right over here, right next to Copilot. So I can just open that, and you can see that this task is already being worked on by an agent, and then I can describe another task that I want as well. So, for example, I can say that, the app doesn't have any auth pages like login or sign up. And then I'll say write the UI for login and sign up. That's it. I'm just giving it a very basic idea that I have, that there's no login or sign up page. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, it's not just the UI. I'm giving you an example, just for asking Copilot to write the UI, not because it's the only thing, but because it's easier to see. You can ask it to do anything. You can ask it to write the backend code, the database queries. You can ask it to write all of your container Docker files, or your Kubernetes manifest. You can ask it anything. I'm just keeping it simple for now and asking it only for UI part so that we can see what it is working on. So when I just hit on start task, what it does, it creates a new task for the agent to work on as well in parallel. So you see here it has created a new task where one of them is to add the admin moderation page, and the other is this draft pull request, which it will continue updating and working on in the background as well while all of this is going on. You see, this is how agentic AI works. I don't have to keep going back into VS Code and seeing and editing every time. All I can do is I can spin up these multiple different agents to work on all of these different tasks for me, which will become easier for for me to kind of accomplish whatever I want to. Now, there is another way, of course, where I can see all of this task, which is while we were working here on github.com/copilot. Here on the left, you would see agents. So if I go into agents, you can see the agents which are the tasks which are going on right now. And if I click through that, I can, of course, go look at the progress of the PR as well. So this is not me. All of this checklist was created by Copilot depending on what are the tasks it needs to accomplish as well, and work through that. Now, I won't again, kind of go look at what it is doing. Let it go. It is agentic AI. I want it to work on the things that it has to accomplish to kind of complete my task. All right. Meanwhile, while this is working on it, what I will do is let me jump back into VS Code, into our app which is there. Now, there is, of course, left side, all of the file tree which is there, and your code editor and terminal. And on the right side, you can see chat as well. Now, you can see there are multiple different modes here in the bottom where I'm showing my cursor. There's an agent mode, there's an ask mode, and there's an edit mode as well with GitHub Copilot. All right. And again, there is a choice of different models as well, which you can use, right from OpenAI's GPTs to Grok to Claude, Gemini, multiple models as well. And you can bring your own models also and run it through Olama if you need it. So let's start off with something simple with the ask mode, where you can ask it anything about your specific code or even a general programming question, or so as well. So I'll ask it something simple. For example, I'll say, looking at my app, can you suggest any improvements or new features that can be done um, in the project? And I'll just say that no need of any code, just give me suggestions. All right. And again, of course, like I said, I can choose any models that I want. And I'll just ask it, and here it's not going to make any changes, but what it will do is it will again use agentic AI to look at your whole workspace. What is the project about? What is the code? And you can see here, there is all of the references that it has used. And you can see it is giving me a few suggestions, saying that in terms of architecture and code, you can do a central data model. You can replace some of the hard coded stuff. From a UX, you can add some skeleton loaders, and you can implement pagination, and you can do real time updates, optimistic UI. You can add search and filtering and all of those things. So you see, this is how something which is very, very useful for me in terms of agentic AI, that it helps, because it takes a look at my whole project and gives me so many suggestions to help me get better, and answer. And in my case, I was just asking it something very, very broad, like what can I do better? And it tells me so many things which it can do better. For example, I like this idea of I18N that it says, and a few other things as well that it is asking me about. Now, Before we get on to this, say for example, while looking at these ideas, right, there is something which stood out for me. It's not something which was shared here, but I think what would be useful when I look at our app is if we could actually have something like a map to show where all are these postings from, which place is this available, etc. So what I can do is I can start my new chat session. I can go into the agent mode, and I can say that um, currently the app doesn't have a way to um, show users what's the um, nearest leftover food that is available. Having a map would be very useful on the listing page so that users can see what is the nearest food uh, that is available. Sorry, away. That's fine. I mean, I available and can decide accordingly. All right. Now, this is something, so I can then say implement this maps feature on the food listings page. Now I can work on this right away out here within VS Code itself so that GitHub Copilot in the agent mode can actually start implementing this. Or one of the other things that I can also do is I'll say that, okay, in the suggestions, I saw there was a suggestion on I-18 and internationalization. So I will work on that. But this is also an important thing. So what I'll do is I'll let the coding agent work on this on github.com. So right here, you can see this small button in the cloud, and which has like the send icon as well, which says delegate to coding agent. So once I do that, what it does is that it picks this up and then it delegates to the coding agent on github.com and creates a new task over there, and starts working on a draft pull request. So why this is really useful is that, say similarly here you're working on your code, and then you say that, okay, there's one task I need to work on right now, but then I want another feature or task that needs to be done that can happen in the background without me interfering. You can quickly give whatever is that you want to accomplish, delegate it to the coding agent, which can then start working on it on github.com while you're working through your code on VS Code. So here you can see it has opened up that pull request right here within VS Code. And here on the left, it also shows that Copilot on my behalf is working on these three pull requests. So this is the pull request GitHub extension, which is showing me all of this information. But this is not only in VS Code. So if I go back into my browser and refresh this, there is the task that was created while I was out here in VS Code, and it actually shows that it was created from VS Code via the GitHub pull request extension. All right. And it has all of the context, whatever is there that's needed, as well, right? So that's a really nice thing. So let me go back into my VS Code, and I was working on my previous part, right? So I was working on here, and I saw that there was the suggestion around adding internationalization, right? So I will work on that right here in VS Code, while there are three agents which are working in the background on github.com through coding agent building on it. So I'll start a new session again in agent mode, and I'll say that this app would appeal to um, communities around the world. So uh, I need I18N in my app to be present. So I'll say implement a new I8 sorry implement new I18N feature that by default is English, and has an option to show text in, say, for example, Hindi as well, um, through a drop down on all the pages. Um, Let this happen client side, um, and implement all the functionality needed for I18 in the app. All right. So I'm giving it an idea of what needs to be done, which is I want I18N internationalization, and I want the default language to be English, but also have an option to show text in Hindi as well through a drop down. Let it all happen client side and implement all of the functionality. And then I'll say, ensure you uh, provide translations for Hindi as well for the text. Okay. And I will give it this prompt, and then what it will do is it will start working on this task. So right here within VS Code, so you can see that it is reading all of it. Starts by gathering the context as to what all is there. All right, so you can see that it is looking at all of the pages as to what all are the strings, what is there in navigation, what is there in footer, what is there in all of the cart components, etc. So it's basically looking at where all does text exist which needs to be translated. So this is part of the initial planning phase that I mentioned about with agents. What it is doing is it's planning, how do I think about and implement this specific feature. So it's going and then gathering all of that context. I'm not giving it any context. You see, I don't have any files which is open. I just have my project which is open, and it is actually going and then looking at all of the files that need to be looked at to make the change. So you see that it's now kind of started working and thinking about what needs to be done. So it says that, okay, now I'm adding all of the I18 and infra and updating the components and pages to use translations with English and Hindi support plus etc. So this is, it streams as and when there are responses which are coming into VS Code. All right. So it will take a few seconds, of course, for all of that to come through. But meanwhile, while this is happening, let's go take a look at what are the agents working on out here on GitHub.com. So I'll just hit a quick refresh to see, and let's see what's with the very first one. And you can see that it has actually finished it and requested me for review as well. So you can see it has built out this whole feature of writing an admin UI page. It has given me a screenshot as well. Now this is a really really nice thing, because on GitHub Copilot coding agent there is also playwright which is available, due to which it's able to implement this and actually open up that page and give that screenshot for us to look at, which it has added right over here. So you can see it has added an admin moderation page for post management, a users management page for moderating users, etc. So you can see it has added things like approve post, delete, and things like that. It has added user management of suspend, promote, ban, an activity log as well of everything that needs to be there. And this is what it has done. So this is all completely by GitHub Copilot coding agent. And if I go look at the files changed right over here, it will show me the entire code which it has worked on as well. So you can see that it has actually fixed a few linting errors as well. And in right over here, it also gives me a to do. This is just for demo, use real auth, etc. And it has written me all of the code, all of the new components that is needed to work on this as well, completely in the background. And I did not interfere anything over here as well. So let's go take a look at the next pull request as well, which is the auth and the login and the sign up form which I asked for. So you can see that it has completed implementation on that as well, around login page, sign up page, etc. And again, it has given us a screenshot as well. There is, the sign up page which is there. So I think that it's probably the screenshot is a bit different, but you can see that it has completed all of that because it has started all of these things within its local environment and then worked on it. So we can actually, go look at what it has done as well. When I click on view session, it shows and brings up the session details itself, of what Copilot coding agent has worked on. So it's going to be a long page, especially after it is completed, because there will be a lot of logs and everything else to look at and what is happening on that as well. And all of this is something which happens through and on GitHub Actions, so that you can configure anything that's needed as well. So let this page come up. I'll show that. Meanwhile, let's switch over to VS Code, and oh wow, it's actually completed writing the code for me as well, which has made changes across 11 files, added 492 lines, removed 202 lines, and then there is some actions which is taken as well. It's added the translation dictionary, created the language provider, wrap the app, etc., and then starts the dev server and use the language drop down and all of those things. So I can actually start reviewing the code. So you can see over here, it has made changes in the layout provider. Um, it has written the language selector drop down. This is the language provider that it has written as well, in React, and the I18N service as well, where the translations have been added, and it has translated all of these things as well for me, and added everything over here, right? So this is nice because it has made a whole lot of changes. And there is definitely some errors which are there, which seems like something to do with how client server components are handled. So what I can do is I can select this, and I can just say add terminal selection to chat, which adds this as a context, and then say that um, there is an error in the terminal, fix that. So I before that I will actually say keep to maintain all of these files, and then I will ask again the agent to go ahead and fix this for me. So it gets the context of whatever I've selected in the terminal, and then it can go and then say that okay, it was probably the use client directive which was missing. So let's go and then add that, and then it understands what is the error. It goes and then fixes all of those things which are needed as well. So let's go ahead and keep that, go back into our browser, refresh this, because the server was already running. And here is our drop down, which is there, which is English and Hindi, which is our I18N. And if I switch to Hindi, well, there it is. Now, of course, the translations might not be exactly right because it's the LLM which is doing the translation, but that's not the point. The point I'm saying is that this was one small idea that we had. If you recollect, I asked it what is the improvement that I needed, and it told me that hey, internationalization is probably one thing that would be really helpful. And then it has gone ahead and implemented all of that right here in agent mode for me as well. So isn't this really really nice? So so what I can do is, of course, I can say that I want to kind of say, and probably I'm going to create, um, let's see, there is a bunch of changes over here. So that's fine. So what I will do is I will go into a new terminal, and if I look at it, there's of course multiple changes over here, and I'll just create a new branch and then say that feed slash I18N. All right, so it's there on the new branch right now, and I will go ahead, add all of the changes that have been made over here, and I'll ask Copilot to write the commit message as well for me, which will add all of the commit message based on the changes that are there. I will go ahead, commit it, and publish this branch on github.com so that it's ready. Now it says, would you like to create a pull request? Sure. Let me go ahead and I can create a pull request as well. And this is all, of course, which is thanks to the pull request extension on GitHub, on VS Code. So I can go ahead and create that pull request as well. So let me go ahead back into github.com so that we can take a look at it. Um, so let me go back and see our pull request, and there it is, the one that we created right now, which has all of the details. And you see, one really nice, interesting thing is that here, while writing on VS Code, I could have made some of my own changes as well. So I could have said that, okay, I don't want this specific code, I want a new code or so as well, etc. And I could have added my own changes as well. Now, if I want to review, one of the things that's very, very useful is I can ask Copilot itself for a review. So right over here, you can see that as a reviewer, there is Copilot. So I can request it for review. And what it's going to do is here it will see that I requested Copilot for a review. So Copilot, based on either specific conditions that I've shared or based on generally as well, it will go back and then review all of these files which have been pushed as well. All right. Now you might be wondering, hey, Copilot itself write the code. You're asking Copilot itself for a review. Good point. However, there are two instances. One, like I mentioned, in this case, Copilot, of course, wrote the code, but I was there here on VS Code, which means that I could have made any changes as well. All right. And Copilot wouldn't know that here because it's me who is in control and pushing those changes. And this is unlike the coding agent where um, where the developer, that's me, as well as the coding agent together author the specific commit. So here, when I do this, you can see that it's actually gone ahead and reviewed this pull request, and it has generated two comments. Here it says that string splitting and conditional logic is fragile, and assumes a specific text structure and gives me a way on how to fix that as well. And same thing here, it says that it's inconsistent indentation, which I can then commit it and push it directly over over here as well. Like, so I can say commit this, I like the changes, go ahead, implement it. And same way, in one of the others as well, I'll say, all right, good change, go ahead and commit it as well. So this is very, very useful in cases where for any pull request, not just a pull request that you have written, but you can go and then say there is a pull request that one of your friends or colleagues has written. You can then go back and then say, request Copilot for review. So let Copilot take a look at the pull request first, and then you can go back and then dig in a bit more deeper as well if it is needed, etc. So that's how easy it is when it comes to implementing features or fixing bugs using agentic AI. So I mentioned to you, I'll show you what the session would look like. So you can see that it's here. While it was adding the authentication pages, it's done multiple things. So it gathered all of the context, and then it built the built the project to check for errors, started the development server, read the logs, um, created the login page, created the login directory, whatever is needed for the path, created the sign in page, added the components. And then, here is where you can see it took a screenshot of the Playwright web browser to go look at whether all of those things work. It did a validation as well by, filling up those forms and then seeing what it says. So some of the basic text, and you see it's taken multiple different tasks to go ahead and complete this, right? So what this does again is where the agentic nature of Copilot becomes really, really awesome. So let's go take a look at this pull request, and you see all of these four pull requests are what we worked on in during this session itself. So using agentic AI, using Copilot in coding agent, in agent mode while drafting an issue, etc., we were able to get a pull request to add an admin moderation system, add an authentication pages, add an interactive maps feature, and also adding internationalization. Now think about, if you were to implement and write all of these features by yourself, how much time it would have taken, right? And that's the power of agentic AI and using GitHub Copilot to delegate tasks wherever it's needed so that coding agent can work on it in the background, and for you to work on it in the VS Code while it is writing code, make any changes as needed, and work within the code editor as well. So that's one of the awesome parts of how agentic AI works as well. Now we saw how you can use coding agent while drafting, while after creating an issue, assigning it, how you can start off from the agents panel and assign a new agent, etc. But there is a lot more to what Copilot can do as well. So one of the things I want to show you is using Copilot even in the CLI as well. All right, and that's very, very interesting, because maybe you're here on VS Code working on something, and you want to use Copilot along with a few other commands as well, or you're probably logged into a server, or you're running in a Docker container, etc., where you don't have a code editor and IDE. Probably you just have Vim or Nano or anything else where you want to work on, so etc. That's where Copilot in the terminal becomes really, really interesting as well. So let me give you a very quick preview of what this looks like. So here is my terminal, and say I'm in a different project this time called home care. All right. Not important what the project does or so, etc., because what we are kind of looking at is how can I use Copilot. Now, using and installing Copilot in the terminal is very easy. So all you have to do is npm install -g as a global package, and then do github/copilot. All right. So that's something which I've already done, so I won't go ahead and install it again. So I'll go ahead and just start Copilot with Copilot command. So it says Copilot CLI starts. Do you trust the files in this folder? All right. So I say yes, proceed, and there is my prompt which has come up as well. So I can do everything that I do with Copilot, most of it which is there in VS Code or GitHub.com, etc., right over here. So as an example, let me give you an example that I have kubectl over here, which is again a CLI tool to interact with Kubernetes clusters and work with all of the Kubernetes resources, etc. Say I don't know, like what's the right way to kind of look at it and interact with it, but I want to use Copilot. So I can give it a prompt saying that what are all the um, you know deployments running in all the namespaces in my K8s cluster. All right, that's all I'm asking it. I want to know what are all the deployments across all namespaces which are running. And this is where, again, of course, the agentic capabilities come in as well, because it's not going to give a response saying that, oh, this is what you need to do, etc. It says that I want to run this command, which will give me the output. So I can either approve it, and then I can say approve kubectl for rest of the session, or I can say Copilot do what differently is needed. So I will approve this for rest of the running session. So what it does is, you can see it's actually going to run that command kubectl get deployments all namespaces so wide. And if I do control R and expand it, I can see what is the output that is coming as well, so that I can get an idea as well. So I can collapse that again, and then you can see here is what it gives me. So it reads all of the output of the command. It runs the command first of all, reads the output of the command, summarizes it, and then gives me. As an example, it says that, okay, here is the certificate management namespace. Here is your environment for development. Here is your production. Here is your ingress. Here is your system components, etc. Right? So now again, of course, I can do a whole lot more things as well. For example, I can say, how long has it been since the production environment is running? Should I restart? Any resources? Any red flags? All right. So I'm just asking it, like, is there something which has gone wrong? Should I restart anything, etc. Right. So I'm not thinking about, okay, what is the command I should run? How should I interpret it, etc. These are all of the things which it's doing right over here in the terminal, working with a lot of different other commands as well. So you can see it has written all of the kubectl commands which are there for me, looking at everything which is needed, with the logs, cluster health, everything else, etc. And I can work with Copilot right over here itself. So you can see it's still thinking, and I can of course press Control R to expand it, so it shows all of the output which it sees as well, and then collapses it. So here it is. It's given me a response, and then let's see. It says that runtime status 13 days. It's been running for 13 days. Health assessment is excellent. No red flags detected. Pod health is good. Resource usage extremely low. Application status running smoothly. Node health is good. Configuration quality is good. Recommendation, no restart needed. So you see, it gave me whatever exactly what I wanted, which is about, hey, what is needed right over here to use with GitHub Copilot. And all you need here for many of these things, what I showed you, either in VS Code or GitHub Copilot coding agent, or here in the CLI, etc., is something which is available on GitHub Copilot. And it depends, of course, on a few things in terms of which plan that you're using or so, etc. Whether it's available in free, whether it's available in GitHub Pro or GitHub Pro Plus, etc. So what I would recommend is for you to just take a quick look at github.com/features/copilot, which actually gives you a complete overview on what all is available in which all plans as well. So if you see over here, compare all plan features, you can see in the free plan what is the pro plan, what is the pro plus plan. And if you are a verified student or a verified educator or a qualified open source maintainer, you would be getting the pro plan for free, which is what is included in most of these things. So you can see what all models are available with free, and with pro you can see most of them are there, except for GitHub Spark, which is there only in Pro Plus. GitHub Spark is very, very cool. I'm going to show that in a few minutes. You can see something like GitHub Spaces, again, available in all the plans, code completion as well. Most of the experiences which are there and available in all of the plans as well. So whenever, if you get a doubt as to, is this there or not there? Do I have access to this or not? Just think about this, if this is a free thing that you're using, this is what you have. If you have access to GitHub student developer pack, or you're a qualified open source maintainer, qualified educator, some of those things, you most probably are getting GitHub Pro for free, which is what has most of these features, etc. So it's just a good way to kind of really look at what all you have or don't have, etc. So nice. So in the past few minutes, we saw how you can use Agentic AI to create issues, to create pull requests with GitHub Copilot coding agent, to use agent mode in VS Code, how you can use Copilot in the CLI, etc. So let's look into one other thing as well. So let's go back into our chat, and you can see there are a few other things. We saw agents, which was the agents panel where most of these was going on. But there's a new thing called spaces as well over here. So what's the spaces? So for the spaces, before I tell you what spaces is helpful, you need to understand a bit about how does some of these prompt and responses work with LLMs in general. All right. Now, when you give an LLM a prompt on GitHub Copilot or anywhere else as well, it generates and gives you a response based on its training data in the model. Okay. uh, it doesn't look at other sources unless you give it other sources. So in basically what it gives you is a response based on its training data. All right, which is why most often if you ask an LLM as to, okay, what's happening, like today, etc., without giving it access to any other sources, it might not know because of its slightly older training data, etc. So let me give you an example, all right, of why grounding is important. So grounding is a concept which is there in AI, where you essentially give a lot of additional sources and context for the LLM, saying that, okay, whenever possible, use this context and sources to answer my questions instead of your own training data. So this is called grounding, because you are kind of grounding the responses and the chat interactions with a specific context and sources, etc. So I'll now show you an example of what something might look like without grounding, which is, if I go into chat, I don't attach anything, I don't have a space or anything else. I just ask something saying that, how do I how do I craft prompts um, to LLM using TSX? Okay. So basically, I am saying that I want to use an LLM API, or I'm self-hosting this. I don't want to give the prompts to it using plain text. I want to use TypeScript. How do I do that? Okay, I can expand on this as well. It doesn't matter if I'm giving this as one sentence or multiple sentences, but it gives me an answer saying that here is a opinionated prompt as codeway using TypeScript plus JSX. Why TypeScript for prompts? This is the core idea, this is the building block, this is the high level prompt component, and all of those things it gives me. All right. But say, for example, what I actually wanted was, how is it actually used within, within, say, other projects as well. All right. So I don't need all of this right now. So say, for example, I want to take a look at how is this working with Copilot itself in chat in VS Code. In case you're not aware, if you go to Microsoft slash VS Code Copilot chat, this specific thing that I showed you right over here, this chat, as an extension, all right, is open source. So this is the repo for it, Microsoft slash VS Code Copilot chat, which is the extension which is open source, which has a lot of and all of the features which we saw right here in VS Code. Say, for example, I want to ask very specifically as to how does this um, prompt crafting work within this specific project or so. And I know that some files in this repo have the necessary information about which I want to ask about. And that's where something like spaces come into picture. So with spaces, what I can do is I can organize multiple sources in one single way, as a space, and then have multiple conversations around it. So the responses are grounded in that specific context. So, as an example, I have a space over here, but I'll come back to it. But while I'm creating the space, I can give it a name, who is the owner for it. And when I create that space, I can add multiple sources. I can add files and repositories from any of my projects, any open source project, anything. I can link any files or pull requests for it to get context from it. I can even upload any file that I need, or I can just add text content, etc. And this become the source for my conversation in the space, and I can give it specific instructions as well. So think of this almost like the system prompt that you give to Copilot, very specific to your space. So let's go take a look at a space that I had created previously called VS Code Copilot Chat. And here you can see I have added context here, and I've given it specific markdown files, certain code files, Copilot instructions, and things. And I've added almost like a system prompt instruction saying that you're an assistant to understand the implementation of Copilot Chat in VS Code, etc. Now, if I ask the same prompt here, what we did, previously, which is how do I, craft prompts to LLM using TSX. All right. Now, what it will do is I expect it to give me grounded responses in the sources that I have given it. Not a basic generic thing based on its own training data, but something which is grounded in what I want and what I am, trying to accomplish over here. So you see here it actually looks at all of the references, the one which I have given as well as the one which I have not given, and then it gives me of how the prompt granting in TSX works. So you can say that here is a minimal example of how this needs to work. Here is the rendering and token budget strategy. Here is how the message construction pattern happens. And you see that all of this, it references very specific parts of files which matter to me, and the response is grounded in what I need here as well. All right. And this is a thing which is really really very interesting, because think about a scenario where you don't want a generic response, but you want a response which is very specific to your context. You can add that as a source, create a space, and you can actually share that space as well with others, so that then they can start using the space for any conversations or anything that they would like to use it for as well. So you can see multiple spaces that belongs to you, or your organization space as well, etc. Right. So this is very very useful when you want to kind of have a conversation with Copilot or get a response which is grounded to your context as well. So all right, so we saw multiple things. All right, so we saw the agents piece, we saw the spaces piece, and now let's take a look at Spark. This is very 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 amazing. Now, Spark is one of those features which is currently only available in preview as a part of GitHub Copilot Pro Plus. But I really want to show you again, still in preview, as to what you can do with it. All right. So here, with GitHub Spark, all right, you can create an entire app completely using natural language, which is going to build. So I had just a few hours ago created a subscription tracker app, but here let's say that I want to just create probably a simple to do app, for example. All right. So I'll say I need a simple to do app that I can use to track and manage my to-do list. I want the say I want the ability to add new to-dos, mark them as done, add categories, um, etc. All right, and then I say that um, I want it to look neat and clean, and use Tailwind CSS for styling. All right. So I can pretty much give it any requirements that I want, or even attach an image if I have any references for it to think about what it needs to do or so, etc. And then submit the prompt. So what it's going to do is, you can see that it starts working on the prompt that I gave it, which is thinking about how to work on it. And one of the first things that it does is it starts creating the requirements itself. So you see in this interface, there is a preview mode, there is a code mode, and a side by side view as well. So if I go into code mode, I can take a look at what is happening. So here there is just a basic scaffolding, which is nothing, which is just an index app, etc. So this is of course opinionated in terms of what it uses or how it uses, etc. So you can see here it says that let me start by creating the PRD and then implementing the solution. PRD is the product requirements document, which essentially will outline what all needs to go as a part of our requirements and what needs to be available as well. So it's currently working, thinking through and working on the PRD, so that once that is done, that's something which we should be able to do. So it's not just that, but there are multiple other things as well. For example, once we have that ready, you can also see and then change the theme right over here without writing a whole lot of code. You will also have a data storage if you need over here locally, which you can use. You can also embed right within the Spark. You can add AI capabilities as well, so that you can use that right here within, and have any assets that you want to use or so. So let's go back and let's see what it's working on. In the code mode, you can see here is the PRD. So here the PRD is, you can see it's to-do management app. What are the experience qualities? What are the essential features? What I described: add new to-do, mark to-do, category management, delete, filter and view, etc., and some edge cases as well. So it kind of goes ahead and also creates a nice color scheme for me, which I can change later on with my theming if needed, and creates a complete product requirements document as well for everything that's needed. So I can go back into my preview. It's still working on it, so you can see it's writing the code. I can open this split view as well to see what's going on. So it's writing the components. There is the to do component, which it's written, and then it's written all of the types for TypeScript, and then the app doesn't have anything yet, but it's gone ahead and implemented all of the styling as per the PRD, which is needed. So you can see that here I am not even giving it a specific task. I'm asking it to build me the entire app, which is needed as well. So let this go on for a couple of minutes for us to see what it works on. Meanwhile, if you have any questions or so, for those of you who are tuning in live, feel free to just drop it in the chat. I'll take a look at it in a moment. Or if you're watching the video, feel free to drop me a note on LinkedIn or Twitter, etc., to stay connected as well. So, all right, if there's any questions, I'm happy to take a look at it on the chat. All right. I see a question on, is there a difference between GitHub Student Developer Pack and the normal GitHub Copilot? I believe I addressed that. That's something which you can take a look at by seeing all of the feature comparisons. And as a part of the Student Developer Pack, what you might mostly get is GitHub Pro. And a question around, is this free or paid? I believe that's also something which I addressed in terms of the features as well, which you can which you can take a quick look at in terms of whether is this something which is free or paid, etc. as well. um, I don't see any other questions out there in the chat, so I'm assuming there is nothing else. But let's give it a few more or probably just a couple of more minutes because it's making all of the changes. So let's go take a look at the component. So there is the to do app component. It's writing, and one of the really nice things is that after it writes all of this, it goes back and actually goes and then looks for any errors and then corrects it as well as and when needed. um, So there's a question: is there any difference between asking from prompts from VS Code and GitHub website? Not majorly. Now, both. So there are a few things. If you think about, okay, what are the differences? Is there differences in the models? The choice is yours. So if you select, say, for example, one specific model, say Claude Sonnet 4 or GPT-5, etc., many of those models are available on both VS Code as well as GitHub.com as well. So as long as you're selecting the same models, there won't be difference. Second, is there a difference in context? Because context plays a huge role in what is the response that you can get and expect. Yes, there will be a difference in context, and I'll show you why. So if you're, for example, working on VS Code, you can add specific context whatever you need. And of course there are different MCP servers that you might have enabled and different tool calls which might not be the case on github.com. All right, so context differs, but you are of course in control of that context again as well, which is that you can select which are the tools you need, which is the context that you wanted to work on, etc. And that's the similar case even with, say, something like GitHub Copilot coding agent, where you can also have it enabled with MCP servers so that it can access a whole lot of other context as well. Similarly, if you're working with GitHub Copilot on GitHub Copilot, what we were looking at, you can add context over there as well and attach links, repositories, etc. So the context is something which, of course, might vary, but otherwise it's largely the same. Okay, so now we see over here in the preview mode that, well, our simple to do app is ready. So before we see what all is there, oh, nice. It's pretty simple, and that's added a few things. So I can tick this off, and then like, okay, nice. It goes back into completed, active. This is pretty good for something which I just wrote like in a few minutes. So if I go back into theme, you can see that I can actually select and modify a theme as well. So let's see, what if I were to say hacker terminal? All right, so I'm not thinking of going and then changing everything, but I just changed this theme over here to hacker terminal, and there it is. It's actually not just changed any colors or so, but it changed the styles as well. It's kind of changed everything that's needed, which is pretty cool, right? So if I go back here into data, you can see here is the database as a table right over here as well, which is there in JSON or a table, saying that, for example, if I were to say, put a new to do, for example, here I'll say that, I don't know, uh, follow MV Karan on LinkedIn or something like that. I don't know. I'm just giving an example, and then I do that, and then here it is. It's come over here, and if I go back into my to do, you can see that it's created that here in the database as well, and then I can work with it just like how I do. So here in the prompts, not much might come up because we don't have anything that's AI generated, and here in assets as well, I can do anything that I needed to. The really nice important thing is that this is not just the UI. I can actually have Spark host this as well. For example, what I can do is I can say publish, and then what it will do is it will publish this so that anyone, depending on the permissions that I set over here, can actually access this and work on it as well. So it's kind of publishing right now, which means that it will be hosted. So it says published now. If I go here in the drop down, it says visibility is only me, or I can select an organization of a specific, or I can say anyone who has the link and is signed into github.com. So what it means is that if I go and then say visit site, it authenticates based on my permissions that I have set. And through the URL, there it is, my app, which I built just with one prompt, just that single prompt that I needed, changed the theme, was able to look at the database as well, which is, of course, hosted. And I was able to go and then publish it and then share it as well. Now, if you go into this URL, of course, you won't be able to access it because I've set the permission as just only for me. Now, of course, I can iterate on this as much as I need. I can iterate and then change even a specific element, make a change over here, or make a change here, make a change here, or I can overall make a change itself. For example, I can say add a capability so that I can use AI to give a prompt, and then um, let it create to dos based on the prompt that the user gives. So what I'm thinking of is that I want to give up in my to do app, I want to be able to specify a prompt, and based on the prompt it should give and create all of the to dos for me, etc. Right. And now here is the really nice thing is that GitHub Spark can actually use an LLM right over here and implement those AI features as well. So this is all of my development. But what if I want to add an AI capability, which is what I am hoping to do right now with this app? So here in the code, it is going to start working. So you can see it's added, multiple things and all the changes that it's making. We can see as well, you can see here is AI prompt which it's writing, which is the variable. And it's still working on it, of course, on AI generation capability. So it's works on the iterations needed to make that happen. So here it is, the generate to dos from AI, which is there, and then spark.llm prompt. So that's the system prompt that it has written for me as well. And it's writing the UI now, as you can see, and iterating on it where the user prompt comes in. So this is essentially adding an AI capability to an AI generated app itself, so that you can write an entire application with AI capability using AI, using something like GitHub Spark itself, which is really really cool on what you can do. So it's kind of writing some of those things and adding some sample to dos as well, and then it's creating some seed data which is there, modifying my index file. So if I go into preview mode, it's still yet to show me where actually this AI prompt can actually come with. So hopefully I think it's not yet um, written the interface for me as to where I can give the prompt. Okay, so here it is, and there it is, my AI to do generator. So it says AI will create 3 7 actionable to dos based on your description. It says plan a weekend trip to the mountains or prepare for a job interview. Okay, let me see. Let me say that okay, um, I have watched the uh, webinar session on GitHub Copilot, Agentic AI on Geeks for Geeks. Um, what should my next steps be on trying out GitHub Copilot? All right. So let's see how it works. So then hopefully it should create some to dos for me, and it says it's generated 7 to dos, and there it is. It says sign up for a free trial or install if not already done, follow the documentation, evaluate, collaborate with colleagues, create a small project, watch additional tutorials, explore specific features, etc. Nice. Now what I can do is, again, I can it says that there are some unpublished changes, so I can publish that and again update it as well in in my published app on the URL, so that all of this becomes hosted. And I added this AI functionality and capability as well as a part of my app. So it's published right now, and if I refresh this over here, um, it should it should come up with my AI to do generator and everything else which is right over here as well. So in the past few minutes, just think about what we did. We just started with that one prompt with GitHub Spark saying that I want to build a to do app, and then it wrote the product requirements, and then we changed the theme to what we wanted, and then we saw that there is a database which is there. And here you can see the prompts tab is where the AI to do generator also works with all of the capabilities. So I can change my system prompt over here as well based on what I need. I can add any assets like logo files or images as well. I can look at the code which is there, make any changes that I need, publish this and host it as well for me or for others to use as well based on the permissions. And this is GitHub Spark. And it's not just this. I can start and create a repository from here to take this forward, to build more, or even open this with a code space on GitHub to start to continue development right over here in the browser itself. So this is really really amazing with what's possible with with GitHub Spark. So all right, that brings me to the end, but I want to give you a quick recollection of just in the past 1.5 hour or so, what all we have accomplished, right from creating the draft issue for adding all of my moderation tools, having GitHub Copilot work on it with the coding agent, and then creating multiple other tasks within VS Code, within the agents panel as well on GitHub.com, writing new code within VS Code itself for that internationalization that we did, pushing that on github.com, asking GitHub Copilot for a code review, working on GitHub Copilot CLI so that I can look at what's happening in my Kubernetes cluster or so, all within the terminal. We saw how to ground some of the responses with Copilot spaces when we looked at the difference between a prompt which is just there with GitHub Copilot versus with Copilot spaces, where we had grounded it with certain sources. And then we looked at GitHub Spark, where we built this whole to do app, modified it, and also added AI capabilities to all of it, as well. And that is really the power of agentic AI and what you can do with GitHub Copilot itself. So I hope you have had a good idea of everything that you can do with Copilot, where all it's available, where all you can use it and get a lot more better at with your development, so you can build apps that you really like, get better at as well. And just like how our AI to do generator app suggested, those are some good to dos. Get started, explore what's possible with GitHub Copilot, what more you can do. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm reachable on x.com/mvkaran and karanmv on LinkedIn as well, or you can just find all of those links on my GitHub profile, github.com/mvkaran as well. So thank you all so much for all of you who have tuned in live for this session, and for all of you who are watching the recording as well. And thanks to Geeks for Geeks for hosting this. Back to Geeks for Geeks team.